the information I needed.
Good morning. This is Mark Sobowitz with the Clarion Voice. Are you supposed to judge? We're going to find out. Stay tuned. Live from the Hub Studios, this is Mark Sobowitz with the Clarion Voice. Good morning. And that flash of a picture is our birthday boy, Mike Donaldson. Happy birthday, Mike. And we're going to be talking with Mike about judgment and judging this morning. And so I hope you're enjoying the weather outside. It's not too bad. It's not as cold as it has been. So we hope you're sitting back and relaxing. And we're going to talk again about who am I to judge? And I don't think that we're in a position to judge. That's my opinion. It's God's judgment. It's God who is in charge to judge. And I think we make that mistake, so many times with so many different situations. So anyways, we're going to talk about that. Michael, good morning.
Good
Happy
morning.
birthday again.
Thank you.
And so what do you think? I mean, I know it talks about judgment. I'm sorry.
What do you think as I keep talking over here?
You don't see his reaction. You see mine. Go ahead.
Anyway, I want to start off by saying, we couldn't even do this without Debbie Buckheim. I mean, she's been awesome.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much, Debbie, for your hard work every single time, because
that's right.
If I'm sitting here, we need someone back behind there doing that,
Correct.
the editing or the producing.
I agree.
So she is our official producer now, I think.
Yep, absolutely.
So anyway, thank you again, Debbie. Should we judge? Now, are you talking about final judgment? Because God is the final judge.
Right. No, I'm not talking about final judgment. I'm
talking about any judgment.
Huh?
You're talking about any judgment.
Yes, correct. I think that a lot of times we get caught up in judging, by stereotype. For example, you see somebody, on this. I sometimes make that mistake when I'm working. I mean, you look at a person, you think, oh, they're this or that or whatever it happens to be, and they could be the smartest person in the world. They just happen to be, they just look disheveled or whatever. That may not be their personality. It just so happens that they came into the store that way, and they could be the richest person in the world or the smartest person in the world. Who am I to judge the person just by the way they look?
Okay, so yeah, that is wrong. Don't do that.
No, exactly.
But there are things, excuse me, there are things in life that, when you see injustice, you are making a judgment call to do something about it. I think that's absolutely our job. We don't take the final judgment of heaven or hell, life or death. I mean, that, unless someone proves themselves, no, we shouldn't. And I think a lot of people would get those two mixed up, because in Matthew 7, do not judge lest you be judged yourself.
Right.
For in the same way, in the same manner that you judge other people, that ruler is going to be set upon you. I mean, it's happened to me most recently, where someone, because visually I can see them and they go a little too, they're trying to make the light, right? And so it's already yellow, and so they're crossing over, from where I'm sitting at the light, and they cross over, and by the time they cross over, oh, it's green, and so they say, oh, it was pink, you know. So it wasn't quite, red yet, and it was, but you could just go, guy, I can't believe he ran that red light, blah 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 blah, and then you do the same thing. So that measure,
Hmm.
which I placed out, was, instead of saying, oh, the guy probably is trying to make an appointment. Maybe he had a sick mother. He had to go, rush her to the, emergency room. I mean, there's any number of reasons that could have been happening.
Sure.
Yeah. But if you judge along those lines, when that same judgment is placed upon you,
Right.
you know, how do you measure up? And so, rightfully so, if you're not judging people from an inerrant position. Okay. So if you go on from Matthew 7, it says, you know, who are you to try to pull a speck out of your brother's eye
Hmm.
when you've got a beam,
Yes.
or a log
Right.
in your own? First, so it's saying don't do that. First, remove the log. Now you're in a perfect place
But I don't think people
so
look at
that
it
you can
that way.
help your brother remove the speck that's in his eye.
I think people forget the second step about taking the log out of their own eye.
That's probably the first step.
Probably should be, but people don't do that. They just judge, and it's just like a knee jerk reaction. They think that this is what the situation is, and yet they forget. Well, maybe I should look at my own situation and not be so quick to judge. And all of this discussion came about because of me watching watching the news and
Oh
how
no, you shouldn't
no
do that
that's
either.
how people are perceiving the different sides in the Israeli war with Hamas. The judgment is at least the way it's being portrayed is that Israel is being judged as the bad guy because of their bombing of the people in Gaza.
Gaza, right?
They're not the
Yeah,
bad guy.
yeah, but that's the media,
Right.
you
And
know.
that's the thing. You see, that's what escalates unnecessary judgments because the media is manipulating opinion, and so
Right.
therefore people are coming to this judgment about the situation not knowing all the facts.
I saw this one meme, and it said that it kind of goes, the media is trying to make 80% of the people believe when only 10% say is true.
That's crazy.
Because you're trying to help, convince 80% that this is what's really happening. And it's propaganda, you know. And sorry to say this, but the president, when he was president in 2009, said it was okay for you to do that in America. Before that, it was illegal. You couldn't do it. You could not do propaganda and manipulate people in the media unless it had something to do outside the United States. But somebody said it was okay. So now it's all happening. And
And
that
yeah,
just
it's
it's
coming.
time to make it illegal again. Because if it's illegal, then they can't say those things. Who would have thought?
Yeah, but then they go back to the First Amendment rights and that
What
sort of
First
thing.
Amendment right? They keep talking about saying fire in a crowded theater. You know, is that a First Amendment right? Yeah. Is it morally wrong? Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe we should go instead of, go back to morals, the moral standing of the whole aspect of it. Anyway,
Yeah,
I,
but we
I
did
got
we
off my
did something
soapbox.
about
It's my birthday.
morality.
I'm allowed to do that, right?
We did something about morality, about is it gone? I mean, a month ago or something like that, and
Oh
there
yeah, we
there
talked
there
about
is none. I mean, there
well,
is no standard of morality. The only one that I believe in is the Bible. The standards that are set in the Bible on morality and things like that. And I think that people are getting away from that. I mean, getting away from following what the Bible says, not in a legalistic way, but using that as a guidepost to be able to make proper judgments or decisions. I mean, okay, I'm thinking, okay, biblically speaking, for example, when Saul was king,
Yep.
before David was anointed, okay?
Yep.
And Saul was chasing, David and whatever because of his judgment that David was out to get him or whatever the judgment was. He felt David was a threat.
Well, yeah, it was his perception.
Right.
Right.
And so therefore he made the judgment and went ahead and did what he wasn't supposed to do.
Saul,
Yes,
which was,
Saul did,
what
and
did he do?
Samuel said, "Don't do that." And
Right.
Saul said, the heck with you. I'm going to do it anyways. And he paid for it. So he made a perception, a judgment about, thinking that, well, I'll do it anyways, which is exactly what's happening now. People are looking at situations and they're saying, I'm going to do it anyhow. It doesn't matter whether it's legal or illegal. I'm going to do it anyways. And they make that judgment because they're taking morality into their own hands or situations into their own hands, thinking that their wisdom is better than anybody else's.
Oh, like good and evil, like the tree.
Ah,
Gotta go back to the garden.
yes, it goes all the way back to that. I mean, that's exactly it. That's where we went wrong with judgment. I mean, and they paid for it. We paid for it.
Yeah,
We were
they
born
did
into
it, and we paid in, and yeah,
we were
were
born
birthed
into
into it. Yeah.
sin. Okay, because of the judgment of Adam and Eve, because of what they did. They went against God thinking that they knew better, and their judgment was wrong. And I think that people need to take a step back and look at a situation and evaluate it before they make a judgment.
That will know all the history.
Okay.
I mean, that's if you're talking about the conflict, if you know enough about the history, you're going to know, things aren't what you have been taught or told
Right.
or perceived, because you heard this because a nice little line, oh, from the river to the sea, that's an old line. And well, what does that mean to you? You know what I mean? And people say, well, what it says, which means what? They don't want to say, well, destroy Israel so it doesn't exist any longer. And then, like we saw this morning in that video, where we have clerics, Muslim clerics, saying in the Quran it says to give that land, let the Israelis, enjoy the land that I,
but the perception on the part of people is not what these clerics were talking about. This,
Well, I know, because again, we go to propaganda, we go to blah, blah, blah. I don't know what that's going to do for people, taking spray paint and spraying things, and what is that going to do? I mean, even how is that going to help if we yell loud enough? I really don't get the whole protest thing. I'll be honest. I like it when they do like a march for life. They're not really, it becomes a stand, and that's okay. But you don't see people destroying things because this is what they believe. If they believe that, March for Life, that means life at conception. I like the perception that Bobby Connor said that we saw last night. What did he say? He says, God had a plan for you before you were even born.
Right.
Before you were born, here's the plan for your life.
Right.
He said, we need to step into that place of that plan, And so he said, that's crazy to think about. You're trying to figure out who you are and what you're going to do. And you had one before you were born. How about that one?
I know, but people don't look into that. So the question is, are we supposed to judge? that's the question that I have, I mean, because
And you say no.
that's what I say, because we're not in a,
Well, who are you judging? You're judging the people that are protesting that don't know all the facts, or are you talking about something else? Do you judge protesters that don't know all the facts?
yeah, I guess
Well, then that's yes.
yeah.
I saw a video that's kind of done a little viral uh, going around, and it was a high school kid that started beating up a blind kid, started punching him, saying, "Get out of here! Get out of here!" And somebody went after the bully, cocked him, man, just boom, knock it off. His judgment was just because he was beating up the bully was beating up a blind kid. Do you do that? Is it was his judgment just? You know, you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I think in that case, I believe it would be because he was defending the blind kid,
Yeah,
from
defending the
getting
weak,
attacked.
defending the undefensible. There's some things that you can't sit back and just allow happen. It's your judgment that you should step in and do something. And I think maybe that's what these folks are going through. When it comes to Palestine, they're thinking, I got to step in here. They don't think that, that it's right. But you know, you're punching up because you don't really know, enough about what you're complaining about or what you're protesting about.
I think getting back to your point about knowing the history of
Yeah.
something has a lot of weight to it only because people don't take the time to do that. They just, they look at a situation on its face value and then they make a judgment based on, their morality, their, standards of living, whatever it is, but they make a judgment based on that towards the situation. I mean, for example, there's this Palestinian boy that was stabbed
Mhm.
numerous times by this man who was just crazy when it came to, the war in Israel and whatever. He just went off the rails. So my judgment is that, well, that's very sad. I feel for the boy's family as well as for the man. I mean, he just made a judgment, that was based on emotion, more than anything, and things get stirred up to create unnecessary judgments. And going back to what we were talking about with the media and with the
Mhm.
manipulation, that stirs up people's judgments without the benefit of knowing all the facts. And so the video you sent me and whatever, I mean, I didn't know that.
Nobody nobody's talking about it.
I
So it's
know, and
it's
that's
time to it's time to talk about all things instead of just what your professor tells you
so why don't we do
in
that? I mean,
college.
are we afraid of the truth? I mean, are we? I mean, because if we knew half of what that has been revealed over the years about, whatever it happens to be, um, maybe we wouldn't come to these unnecessary judgments. I mean, I used to be the type of person that, I mean, when it came to, all right, let's say President Trump, for example. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I
Now
know.
you went there, did you?
Yeah, I know. I used to be, I used to have, an opinion
A
about his,
judgment.
huh? A
That's what a
judgment.
judgment is an
Exactly.
opinion.
And so I don't feel that way anymore because I know more.
Now, today, than you knew then.
Yeah. And so that makes it easier for me to, have a constructive opinion because I know more. I'm not doing it, on emotion. But I was manipulated by the media too. Because you would read, I mean, you would watch mainstream media, they would say this and that and whatever, and you would think, "Oh, good grief. I mean, he's doing whatever." And I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, "Okay, maybe he did, maybe he didn't." I don't know. I mean, if there were a truth channel, right?
If only we had media that spoke the truth.
Yes. That's it. I mean, because if we had a truth channel, I go back to this example all the time because Jim Carrey made a movie called Liar Liar.
That was a great movie.
And those of you who have watched the movie know what I'm talking about because of the fact that he had to tell the truth about everything
Yeah.
because of some promise that was made to his kid or something like that.
A
I think
wish. Yeah.
that was the basis of it. Can you imagine if the media did that and literally told the truth about situations, whatever they were reporting on? I mean, people would say, whoa.
Yeah. It reminds me of Balaam's donkey.
Ah, yes.
You know,
Okay.
even God used a donkey to turn around and say, "What are you doing?
Right.
This ain't right."
No, that's it. But you see, it's we're doing all sorts of movie references here, but
You got another one?
Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson had this courtroom scene in A Few Good Men.
Oh,
And, the famous line is, "You can't handle the truth." Well, he may be right. You can't handle it. We can't handle the truth. If we knew the truth about certain situations, I mean,
about aliens or
it might it might be worse,
Did I say it's my birthday? I'm kind of goofy today.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
yeah, what would happen? Maybe, and until you know the truth, you know, the truth can't set you free until you know it. That Jesus is the truth.
Jesus is the truth.
He's the way,
And
he's the life.
I think
No man can come to the Father
except through him.
There's a judgment for you, but it's truth. Did I do good?
That makes you sort of think about it, don't it, folks? It's called Go Back to the Bible, take a look at what it says, and then you'll think, oh.
I think again, this Jesus is the truth, right? So if you have a personal relationship with the truth, maybe things will be changed in your life in regards to your response, instead of a knee-jerk judgment or reaction, ask the truth. Jesus, what do you think about this? What do you know that maybe I don't know or anybody else knows? You're the truth. And then take the time to listen.
Right. I agree.
And you'll get the heart of the person you're talking to or about, and in that aspect, yeah, I think it'd be a lot easier on us.
I agree. I mean, but unfortunately, people don't take the time to do that. I mean, they just.
I mean, I don't do it all the time. I'd be honest.
Right. I don't either. But I'm just saying that we need to do it more. I mean, and I'm trying to, conduct myself by having, reflecting the nature of Christ, the nature of God in my everyday, interactions.
Right.
And trying to, develop that relationship by having, the mind of Christ, and not just make a knee-jerk, reaction or a knee-jerk judgment, since that's what we're talking about something that you may not know anything about. And I think to your point about going to Jesus and say, okay, what would you do in this situation? Or how do you direct me in this situation has far more value than anything else, because if by having that relationship and being able to communicate with the Lord on a daily basis, on a regular basis, on a minute by minute basis, he's going to direct you accordingly to what you're supposed to do, but you have to listen.
Yeah.
And that's it's the rapid obedience.
Yeah, but it's in the listening. It's not in the asking, it's in the listening.
Right.
That truth, peace, comfort, and joy will come to you in the listening.
Yeah, I think that
Cast your cares upon
Yeah.
the Lord.
Come to me, all you who are heavy laden, and I will give you rest.
Yeah.
He's asking you to come to him and just lay your
Burdens.
cares upon him, lay your judgments on him. Hello. And so that's what you need to do. I mean, you need to just direct your attention to the Lord, who is the truth. And then whatever judgments that you make will hopefully be justified in what you're doing. It won't be a knee-jerk judgment. It will be something because you're directed by the Lord to, to act accordingly. Sometimes, you may end up wanting to not show mercy to somebody, but if the Lord says, I think you need to be merciful towards this person in this particular case, so you have to listen. So when it comes to judgment, no, we're not supposed to judge. But sometimes, if you know more about the situation and you take the plank out of your eye, then you will be in a better position to make an informed decision. That's what they say when when you're voting and all that. You have to make an informed decision about the propositions and whatever. It's not like you ever find yourself on the ballot and you look at all these judges or whatever. If it's a municipal election or whatever, you don't know a darn thing about these people, and you just vote. Okay, I'll just vote for this guy.
Because they got this letter after their name.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, I hope that our discussion has sort of prompted you to think about how you look at situations, your perceptions, and that might just change your judgment in certain situations. We hope. And so, if you like this video, please share it with someone. And then, if you want to get future notifications, hit the bell. And hopefully, you have a good week and that you will be relying on the truth of the word and the truth of Jesus in your life in every situation. Just be ready to listen. This is Mark Sobowitz and Mike Donaldson and Debbie Buckheim with a clarion voice.